So, and because the top went so very fast, we have this bonus video, and I'm gonna make a skirt from the same fabric as the top, so then we have sort of a dress. Because I didn't have time to find a picture online from what I want to make, because that would take too much time that I rather spend on making this skirt. So I made my fabulous drawing, and I hope you understand, but when I'm making it you will understand what I mean by that. It's a skirt. I like middle length, but you can make it any length you like. It will be a very easy pattern because it is just one large stroke of fabric, and it will turn out in a ruffle in the front. So the excess that we have, we sew together in the mid front, and the excess will hang down as a ruffle, as a waterfall, I don't know how to call it. Then we just have 2 darts in the front, 2 darts in the back, a zipper in the mid back, and a split in the mid back. And that will be the skirt that we're gonna make. It will look very nice, I think, especially because of the fabric. You get all those lights falling, especially on the ruffle, and it will reflect, and I think it will be really nice. So that's the pattern, that's the inspiration. The pattern will be like this. When you take your fabric, you keep it on the fold as you get it from your store. And then you just cut a piece as long as you want your skirt to be. So this is the length of your skirt. And you take the whole width of your fabric. Normally that will be on the fold 70 centimeters, because most fabrics are 140 in width. So it's 70 centimeters. And you can use just one strip in the length that you want your skirt to be. If your hip measurement is more than 110 in centimeters, I think then I would sew an extra part on it, because otherwise it will be too tight, or you will have less fabric here left over, and that will not be too nice, I think. So if your hip measurement is more than 110 centimeters, cut another piece of fabric and sew that anywhere on this strip of fabric. Doesn't matter where you do it, just take one end. This side will be the mid back. We're gonna have to have a zipper and a slit. Here we're gonna have the darts for the side seam and the front and the back dart, but I'll show you when we're gonna sew it. So just take one strip of fabric, the whole width of your fabric, just the length of your length that you want your skirts to be. So that's the only measurement you have to take, the length. Oh, and I don't make a waistband. I just make some facing to the finish of the top. I think maybe I will do some elastic on the facing to keep the strength on the top, because this is a stretch fabric. In time usually it will stretch out a bit, and then it will be too loose on the waist. So or I make a facing with some interfacing that it gets some strength for the top of the skirt. Or I'll put some elastic in, not to gather it, but just to keep the shape and to keep the strength together on top of the on the waistline, because otherwise it won't be that nice. But I'll see when we are making it what I will choose. So we're gonna sew first the mid back seam. So get your 2 mid back parts together. And make sure that you have the right side up, because of the vleug, I don't know the English word again, that you have the good side on top, because when you have it upside down, you have seen that the color of the fabric is different. And especially when you have also sewn the top, make sure it's the same as the top, otherwise it will look very strange that your top has a different color than the bottom. So check that again. I checked it twice to make sure that I had the right way up. Then we're gonna sew a basting stitch for the length of the zipper. I pinned the length of my zipper here. We make a basting stitch till there, and then we do a straight stitch down to where the slit will begin. And that is because then we can put the zipper in very easily with the basting stitch, and we can easily take it out when the zipper is sewn in. So that's why we do that. So don't do a back stitch now, because we take this stitching out. Here we change the stitching to a normal top stitch, and here we do a back stitch because then the zipper won't tear out when we use that. You have a water broad seam allowance, and that's because it is at the selvage, and it is waterboard selvage here, so otherwise you get a strange outlook of the fabric. Then we're going to pin in the zipper, and now because we have this basting stitch here, it's very easy. You fold the seam allowance open. Okay, I'll put it the other way around, like that. And then you put, I'll show you like this, it's easier I think. You put your zipper on top of it, with the teeth going down to the seam. And I leave a bit open on top of it because I need some seam allowance for the facing to sew on. And I want a hook or a button on top of the zipper, because otherwise the zipper is the end of your seam, and then there get a lot of stretch onto the zipper, and then it will break very easily. So I have to make something on top of the zipper, so make sure you have a little bit space left for a button or a hook or whatever you want there. And now you pin your zipper exactly on top of the seam. So when you lift it up, you can see that the teeth are exactly on the seam, and then it is on the right place. So put your pins across, so not in the length of your zipper, and every time just watch that it's lying okay. One more down. Then you turn it the other way around. And then you can pin the zipper all the way around, and then you can sew it. And best is always to pin from the top to the bottom, because then you get the nicest seam. And this is a pretty difficult fabric to sew, so be very careful when you sew this in, because it will slip very easily. Sometimes it's even better to use a leather foot, because that won't slip that easily. Certainly make sure that you have your stretch mode on your sewing machine, and your stretch needle. Make sure that you have your pins on the same width of the seam, left and right, because, well, you don't really see the seam now with this fabric, but when you do, then it's not that nice when it's not exactly the same left and right. Okay, so that's pinned on. We're gonna sew this, and then your zipper is ready. I always take out my cross pins, because sometimes your machine can't walk over it, so then you don't get problems with broken needles of your sewing machine. Okay, put on the zipper foot. And then we can sew. I want the other side. Okay. So we have our zipper in here. So this is the mid back. It's folded now together. So this is the mid back. This is the mid front. At least this is the most front, mid front with the ruffle part. And then what you do is, again, you measure your width that you have now. I have 140, and I take that off my hip measurement. So my hip measurement is about 19. So 140 minus 90 is 50. And because we have it doubled, it's 50 divided by 2 is 25. So I measure out 25 because that is the excess fabric that I have for the ruffle in the middle. So I pin down 25 all the way down because we're going to sew this all the way down for the ruffle. I'm not sure if I want to cut this open or not, so I leave it like this. I can always cut it open later and I can see how it falls like this, but I think I want to separate ruffles. I think that falls nicer now. We got a whole flat thing, I think, but it doesn't matter, we'll see. So take your measurement of your fabric minus your hip measurement, and that part that is left divided by 2 is your ruffle part. Then the middle of this part is your side, so the left side and the left, right and the right side seam. I pin that because here we're gonna make a sort of a dart to make it nice, a bit rounded to your shape. And then we make a dart in the front part and in the back part, and that is not really on the middle of it, but somewhat more to the side seam. So we make a pin there, so it's almost 1/3 of the part. Same in the back. The back I always do it a little bit more to the mid back. Also, of course, for the other side. And then what is best to do is first sew this whole seam for the ruffle part. Then you have your skirt. This is your total skirt part, and you put it on, and then when you have it on, you pin the darts to your body. You can also do it, of course, if you have a mannequin, but most people won't have it, so just put it on yourself. Do it roughly, pinch it in at the waist roughly on 4 sides, on 6 sides, and then you can pin it in to adjust to match your body, so then you get a little bit of a curve in it. So I'll pin it to myself and I show you how it should look when you have done that yourself. And this is what it should look like then. This is the zipper, as you see. This is the mid front, the stitching that I made. The ruffle is inside, of course. And I pinned down the side seam, and I made that a bit wider because always the side seam is a bit more of a curve, and I made this about 20 centimeters long. And I have a dart in the front and a dart in the back, and I made them about 1.5 centimeters in width. And this one I made 12, and this one I made 14 centimeters, 30 centimeters. So you get 2 darts and a big dart for the side seam, and of course the same on the other side. Then you're going to sew this on, and then you have a really nice fitted skirt because I made it just when I put it on in the lines of my body, and it looks very nice. I also saw that I think I will cut open the ruffle part. I think it's nicer. I'm a bit afraid because maybe you can see the inside, and that is obviously very different as the outside, so I'm still not sure, but I think I will try with a little piece how it looks when it falls open to see if that looks nice. Then for the finishing of the top, I didn't want a waistband, as I said before. I will certainly do a facing, and I'm not sure if I'll do a facing just with some interfacing to make it more stiff, or with some elastic, because this is a stretchy material. Sometimes it stretches out a bit, and then in time the skirt will get wider and wider and will fall down or will not sit nicely in the waist. So I'm gonna try out if I'm gonna do the facing with elastic or facing with some interfacing. So that's my try out now, and I'll let you know when I come back. First we're gonna sew in these darts. I've sewn in all the darts, and I tried to put on some rather white elastic, and I just folded in the top of the skirt a centimeter and then pinned on the elastic, not really with a stretch, just a little bit on, so that it is nice and tight around the waist. And I tried it on and it fits very nice. It's not too much that it tucks on the zipper, because that's very important. When your elastic is too tight, the zipper will get too much pressure on, and then it will break very easily. Just pin it on, just with a little bit tuck on it, but not more than that. So I'm gonna sew this on just with a top stitch from the outside, that it looks very nice. And then the only thing we have to do is hem the bottom and the slits down the back. And I also cut open the ruffle, and I was a little bit afraid, but it turned out very good, because it stays rather nicely together, because when it falls open then it's not that nice, because this is really dull and this is very shiny, but it stays together very nice. It's a bit static, I think, so it looks very nice. So I was very happy, because otherwise I had to line this whole piece also, and I think then it would get too thick and it wouldn't fall nice, but that turned out well. So we're gonna sew on the elastic, we're gonna hem the bottom, and then I'll be back with the final product. So good luck for the last step. So we're gonna sew the elastic on the top of the skirt, and the elastic serves now as a sort of facing, because we don't have a band and we don't have a facing. So it's just not stretched out onto the skirt. And I also sew these parts, and at the side seam I sew this on so that it will stay nicely put down. This is the skirt. It looks really nice, I think, together with the top, but also when you just wear it as a skirt. This was the thing I couldn't explain. You can see it now, but when you've made it already, you know what I meant. It's just an extra piece of fabric doubled that you just let hang loose, and it gives that really nice waterfall effect. I also like the elastic that I used as facing and as a waistband, because it feels very nice and tucked in here, and especially because this is such a stretchy fabric, you don't have to be afraid that your skirt will go down when you have worn it a few times. So I'm very happy with that. The only problem that I had is because this is rather tight and a rather thin fabric, you could see the hem here at the back of my top, and I put an underskirt under it so that you don't see here hem through the skirt, because that looks very awful, I think. So maybe when you have this same fabric, you can do that too. Just put an underskirt under, and then you look very nice and chic. I really like it. I also tried it with a belt, but with a wraparound belt that I also wore on my bedroom dress, and it looks very nice too, but you go over this piece, and I like it more just like this, and it doesn't matter if you can see that it's not a dress but a top and a skirt, because I think it looks really nice. And this is certainly my favorite outfit now, and I'm certainly gonna wear this for Christmas because I really like it. So I hope you like the skirt too. I hope you like to make it and make this two-piece, because you have a really versatile piece in your closet then, and I think it looks really nice. So I'm gonna hurry to make my blue velvet dress, because I have to start with that now. That will be a really nice one, I hope too. So thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you like my videos. We're growing, so that's really nice to see. And I hope you like this one too. So see you next week, and thank you so much for watching. Bye.